Crash Course presents Women in Relationships. You will learn everything you need to know about being a strong, educated woman in under 10 minutes. We cover everything from abuse and neglect to sexuality and wellness, so you can attack any problem strategically. We will start with prayer. Prayer is a religious time of reflection and worship to God. It is important to set aside time for prayer because we are so caught up in our hectic lives. A good time to start a prayer habit is when you wake up in the morning or before you go to bed at night. While you pray, think about your attitude and behavior that day. Replay a mental film of positive and negative choices you have made. Even if you aren't religious, quiet time to reflect on whether or not you have done good or bad that day is very beneficial. Your morality will grow as you take the time to think about how you treat others and yourselves on a daily basis. Next, we have Ophelia Speaks, a collection of stories from teenage girls across the U.S. that experienced issues growing up. There are 7 main topics the book covers, first of which is friends. A friend is someone you have a mutually good bond with. Your close friends support, love, respect, trust, listen, and rely on you. However, bad friends judge you, are jealous, selfish, rude, and lie about or to you. The second topic is family. A family is a unit of parents or guardians and their children. While many adhere to the traditional family arrangement, family does not always simply mean a father, mother, brother, and sister. Non-traditional families can include homosexual parents, single parents, and adopted children. Families don't need labels. They simply need to provide basic necessities such as encouragement, compassion, and care to ensure the development of affection and love. While this is ideal, some families do not work out this way, which leads me to my next topic, brokenness. Brokenness is the trauma and hardships one experiences, likely from inconsistencies in their life. This can include divorce, neglect, and abuse, usually from parents or guardians or trusted adults. Children of brokenness have a harder time displaying affection, are likely to abuse alcohol or drugs, perform badly at school or even drop out, and likely have depression. Similarly, people affected by wounds, whether they be physical or mental, have suffered trauma and carry deep scars. Wounds can be self-inflicted if someone is dealing with inner issues and lashes out on themselves through physical harm. Victims of rape also experience wounds. They are traumatized by the abuse, which is more about the assertion of power and not sex. Rape is especially difficult to deal with because the rapist is usually someone the victim knows. The most extreme wound is suicide, which usually occurs when people have extreme depression. No matter how bad the depression is, however, suicide is 100% preventable. Next, we have body image. Body image is the way one sees and feels about one's physical appearance. Most teenage girls have negative body images. Why? Because of the media. Professionals Photoshop models and set unrealistic expectations that are plastered on magazines and billboards. Many people end up unhappy with their body image, so they take drastic measures to change it. People who try to lose extreme amounts of weight can quickly develop eating disorders. Anorexia is when someone goes without food for long periods of time. Bulimia is when someone binges or eats too much and purges with self-induced vomiting. The next category is the mind, which focuses on mental health issues. Here are a few of the many mental health problems present. Anxiety is an intense fear and worry. Depression is a consistent sadness and helpless feeling. Bipolar disorder is when someone swings from extreme moods of happiness and sadness. Now we move on to relationships, which are the bonds you form with others. Immediately when we hear relationships, we think of romance. Love is when you truly care for someone and have compassion for them over a long period of time. Infatuation is simply a short-term passion for someone you don't truly care about. The next topic is strength, which is the ability to withstand harm and injustice. Some of the strongest mental health comes from overcoming discrimination. Some of the common prejudices are racism, sexism, classism, and xenophobia. A current powerful movement is feminism, where people advocate for the equal rights of women and men. After strength comes discernment. Discernment is choosing your path in life and making good judgment calls in between. There are 3 vocations or roles the Catholic Church calls all people to take on: the single, married, or ordained life. For teenagers, the near future means deciding on colleges and careers, so it is wise to plan ahead and make the right decision. This leads me on to the adult life. It is the harsh reality of paying off college loans and affording rent and groceries. Paying credit card bills and taxes on time is crucial to staying out of debt, because you'll be charged extra if you are late. Next, we have sexuality, a broad subject covering topics such as STIs and homosexuality. STIs are sexually transmitted infections such as chlamydia, hepatitis, and herpes. STIs are very dangerous, and the seriousness is often overlooked when people think about having sex. Birth control is a method of preventing pregnancy while having sex, and methods include the NuvaRing, condoms, contraception, intrauterine devices, and birth control pills. Do not confuse using condoms as a way to eliminate chances of contracting STIs, because the skin contact can also lead to the spreading of diseases. The best way to prevent both STIs and unplanned pregnancies is abstinence, which is not having sex. However, if a woman does get pregnant unintentionally, she can have an abortion, which is the ending of an embryo or fetus's life before it is born. The Catholic Church bans all forms of birth control and abortion because it disrupts with the natural form of procreation, and the Church is against killing at all stages of life. Homosexuality is when one is attracted to others of his or her own gender. Being homosexual is not a choice, so it is not a sin. But acting on homosexual inclinations is a sin because you have the free will to do so, according to the Catholic Church. Then we have grief. Grief is deep sorrow, usually the mourning over someone else's death. People who experience grief go through a 5-stage grief cycle. The first stage is denial, where the griever does not believe they have lost a loved one. Second is bargaining, where the griever thinks about what they could have done to prevent the loss. Third is depression, where the griever fully realizes that they have lost a loved one and is extremely sad. Fourth is anger, where the griever feels powerless and hopeless, and they wonder why they have to experience such a traumatic event. Last is acceptance, where the griever comes to terms with their loss. The last unit we covered in Women in Relationships is health and wellness. First, we discussed setting boundaries for your relationships. You must respect yourself by setting limits that you and others must not cross to keep yourself safe and comfortable. If you set solid boundaries, you have resilience, which is how true you stay to yourself and not falling for pure influences. If someone in a relationship crosses a boundary, or if you just don't feel right, let go of the relationship or move away from the person without totally letting it go. The course would not have been complete without our guest speakers, who have lived out the lessons we learned in this class. First was Erin Baduk, who experienced dating violence and sexual manipulation from her boyfriend when she did not want to have sex, but she did it anyway when he convinced her. After they broke up, he stalked her and she had to get a restraining order. Lesson is, report domestic violence and respect your boundaries. Then we had the marriage panel, where Miss Ding Lawson and Mr. Vieira talked about the struggles of their marriage. Miss Ding Lawson had broken up with her boyfriend before he became her fiancé because of his mixed feelings with another woman. Mr. Vieira had totally different goals from his wife when he first met her. His wife did not want marriage or children, and she was not religious, while Mr. Vieira was the total opposite. Both Ding Lawson and Vieira proved that the commitment in marriage is worth it because of their compassion, love, and children that result from it. Our final guest speaker, Belle, summarized the course because she had lived through every possible experience. From her teen pregnancy and marriage at age 15, to her abortions and ectopic pregnancies, to her alcohol and drug addiction, Belle showed us the power of bad decisions and the pain you endure when you grow older and want to accomplish your ultimate goals, but planned badly in the beginning of your life. And that's a wrap. You have completed the course. Thanks for tuning in to Crash Course Women in Relationships. You're now ready to take on the world.